Widow Elaine said the scrapping of winter fuel payments makes life not worth living. The grandmother of four, 75, said she was absolutely disgusted by the Labour government's decision to axe the lifeline for those not on benefits. Elaine, from Northamptonshire, said, "I'm disgusted, absolutely disgusted." Keir Starmer's motto was change. He's changed it for the worse for pensioners. I expected that. How are we going to cope with the people stuck in our homes? She added, "It just makes life not worth living." Quite frankly, Elaine, who worked at a shoe manufacturer, spent 20 years caring for her husband before he died almost 2 years ago. She has just stopped using a wheelchair after leaving hospital in June. Elaine, who suffers from arthritis, told how she understands the richest pensioners do not need the winter fuel payment, but millions of pensioners, like herself, are just a few pennies over the limit for pension credit and will miss out. Even in the coldest parts of the winter, Elaine rarely turns the heating on and keeps it very low, yet energy now takes 25% of her income. She said, "Honestly, I have no idea how I will cope. There is no extra money to cover this. After the hundreds of thousands of pounds I've saved the government by being a carer all those years, I shouldn't have to worry about turning my heating on or if I can afford enough food. Last year I only had the temperature on 13°C and I struggled to pay my bill last year. How on earth am I going to cope this year? It's heartbreaking." She added, "Believe it or believe it not, I came out of hospital at the beginning of June. I think in all that time I've only cooked myself 3 meals. I live on toast and cereals and all sorts of things. I eat a couple of meals a day, but it's not worth cooking for one, I don't think. On top of that, it's too costly." When asked what her message to Chancellor Rachel Reeves and Sir Keir was, she said, "You've hit pensioners instead of looking after us, the ones that have paid everything and worked hard to try and live retirement. Quite frankly, all you've done is made us prisoners because I'm not the only one that's going to sit and look at 4 walls when it's too cold to go out." Elaine told how she feels supported by campaign group Age UK. Caroline Abrahams, charity director at Age UK, said, "We strongly oppose the means testing of winter fuel payment (WFP), because our initial estimate is that as many as 2 million pensioners who badly need the money to stay warm this winter will not receive it and will be in trouble as a result, yet at the other end of the spectrum well-off older people will scarcely notice the difference, a social injustice. A big reason for this disastrous outcome is that more than 1 in 3 pensioners entitled to pension credit, the qualifying benefit for WFP under this proposal, don't receive it, a proportion that's been roughly constant for many years. More than 800,000 older people living on very low incomes, under £218.25 a week for single pensioners and under £332.95 for couples, who are already missing out of the pension credit they are entitled to get to boost their incomes, will now lose the WFP that helps them to pay their fuel bills. In addition, there are also about 1 million pensioners whose weekly incomes are less than £50 per week above the poverty line, who will also be hit hard by the loss of the payment. Older people in this group often tell us they really struggle financially. The proposed change will make it even harder for them to afford to stay warm when it gets chilly. Finally, there is a third group who will find it extremely difficult to heat their homes adequately this winter as a result of the proposed change. Older people whose incomes are a little higher though still limited, but who live in energy-inefficient homes and/or who are seriously unwell and need to keep the thermostat turned up high in order to protect their health.